Hi, Professor. I am Josmimo Joseph. My student ID is 194 and my first, second, third countries are Hungary, France, and Congo, respectively. Firstly, I am talking about the country Hungary. This is Subvideo 1A. Act 112 of 2011 on informational and self-determination and freedom of information. This act was passed on 2011, which is entered into force on January 1, 2012, and it is amended on 26 July 2018. It covers government, public, and private sectors. This law provides protection for whistleblowers who disclose corruption, fraud, or any other form of wrong things, especially Article 15 of this law surely ensure the protection of data disclosures, name, address, and their activity related to the data control. The law is enforced by Hungarian National Authority for Data Protection and Freedom of Information. The NAIH is responsible for monitoring and encouraging the application of two fundamental rights, that is the right to protection of personal data and the right to freedom of information. The law is generally seen towards protecting personal data and ensuring transparency in Hungary because it is aligned with the GDPR. That means US General Data Protection Regulation. NIH has been active in enforcing this law as well as the law contributed a great public awareness. However, its effectiveness is limited by the lack of resources and capacity to enforce the law. The second law is Act 165 of 2013 on complaints and public interest disclosure, which was passed on 2013. It covers government, commercial, healthcare sectors. It defined procedure for whistleblowing, protecting the identity of whistleblowers, and providing safeguard against workplace harassment like dismissal or discrimination. Also gives the guidelines of various authorities to investigate, maintain confidentiality, provide feedback to the whistleblowers. The Hungarian ombudsman oversees the enforcement, ensuring the public interest disclosures are properly addressed and whistleblowers were protected. Also, court give legal support for individuals who believe their rights under this law has been violated. The effectiveness of this law is mixed. It offers a strong legal framework, effective protection for whistleblowers, and raises awareness about transparency and accountability. However, some whistleblowers have still fears of retaliation, so creating public trust is significant to report issues without any doubt and concerns. This is sub-video 2A. The This is about the an incident, whistleblowing incident happened in Hungary. Uh, Andras Howard, a former tax inspector, exposed a large-scale tax fraud within the National Tax and Custom Administration in 2030. According to Howard, corruption at a government level enabled large-scale value-added tax fraud, which resulted in the loss of hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue. The problem were organized crime group that had strong contact with state administration representatives, enabling them to engage in criminal activity for an extended period of time. This group fraudulently requested compensation from the tax office for what that they never actually paid by using unlawful VAT refund in carousel transactions across borders. Howard's research revealed that highly organized criminal groups, not individuals or small businesses, were the primary offenders of VAT fraud in Hungary. He said that during the 2007 management and personal changes, corruption spread throughout the tax authority, resulting in the absence of monitoring and a join the club or leave the market business mentality. Regarding how the whistleblower was handled, Howard put his own life in danger to reveal the corruption and faced up to the suspected cooperation between the NAV and the organized crime organizations. He sent the chief prosecutor of Hungary with a report that included supporting documentation for his claims. It's unclear if the problem with the unethical activity were properly addressed in the remedial process. Although Howard's allegations were made public in 2030, it's unclear what steps the authority took to deal with the VAT fraud and the corruption. But Howard's courage in exposing the corruption raised awareness of the problem, and his actions might have influenced Hungary's efforts to fight VAT fraud as well as closer examination of the tax authorities. This is Subvideo 3A. Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, is the famous political leader known for his nationalist policies and centralization of power. Orban's visions for Hungary is centered around the concept of illiberal democracy, which prioritizes a national sovereignty and the will of the people over liberal democratic values. He envisions a strong, centralized state that can effectively govern and protect Hungarian interests. Critics have questioned Orban's integrity, claiming he has used his position to gain power and fortune for himself and his cronies. His administration has come under fire for its favoritism and corruption. Many people characterizes Albans as having an authoritarian and populist governing style. He has a history of using blaming minority groups and divisive rhetoric to get support for his initiatives. This strategy can be viewed as a bad model for democratic leaders. Albans have clear goal for Hungary, including the promotion of national interest, the protection of Hungarian culture and identity, and the reduction of foreign influence. However, his method for achieving these goals have been criticized as undemocratic and authoritarian. Albans has been known to surround himself with loyal allies and to reward those who support him. However, his leadership style is often described as top down with little room for debate. Urban has been criticized for not holding himself or his allies accountable for corruption and abuse of power. Instead, he has used his power to silence critics and opposition voices because he views them as dangers to Hungarian sovereignty. Urbans has questioned the legitimacy of the European Union and other international institutions. He has been attacked for his combative and polarizing manner, nevertheless. Urban's leadership style is often described as populist and nationalist, with a focus on promoting Hungarian interest over universal values. His approach can be seen as providing a narrow nationalist vision of ethics rather than a broader universal one. Urban's leadership style suggests that he has a strong internal locus of control with a focus on personal power and influence. He has been known to use his power to shape the political landscape in Hungary and to silence opposition voices. Urban's approach to leadership has been characterized as revolutionary, emphasizing the acquisition of power of influence by whatever means necessary. He has a history of using scapegoating minority groups and divisive rhetoric to get support for his initiative. Examples of Urban's leadership styles can be seen in his approach to governance, including his use of propaganda and disinformation to shape public opinion, his consolidation of power and influence, and his attacks on independent media and civil society organizations. For example, Urbans is strongly opposed to immigration and gender issues, the two topics that the far right in the Western world views as a cultural wars. By doing this, he has established himself among Republicans as the leader of Europe, fighting on their sides in the culture war. He has effectively consolidated his power and influence by manipulating the story to suit his needs. My second country is France. This is Subvideo 1B. Anti-Corruption and Economic Modernization Act 2016 bar 1691, also known as the SAPIN 2 Act, was passed on December 9, 2016 and took effect on June 1, 2017 in France. It applies to government officials, public servants, and elected representatives, as well as companies in the private sector and non-profit organizations. Additionally, it also covers the healthcare sectors, including pharmaceutical companies, medical device manufacturers, and healthcare professionals, aim to prevent and combat corruption, influence peddling, and other forms of misconduct in France. Strengthens anti-corruption measures. It is strengthen anti-corruption measures. That is, the law introduces new provisions to prevent and detect the corruption. That means a foundation of standard provisions is established in Chapter 2 from Article 6 to 15 of a SAPIN 2 law on the protection of whistleblowers. These provisions apply to any natural persons who discloses or report a crime, a misdemeanor, or a flagrant and a mysterious breach of the law, any regulations or international commitment or a unilateral act of an international organization carried out in accordance with such a commitment. It also contained the creation of a new anti-corruption agency, the Agency Francais Anti-Corruption (AFA). It also enhances the whistleblower protection. Uh, it provided a greater protection for the whistleblowers who report corruption or other forms of misconduct, increases the transparency, uh, and the law create new offenses such as influence peddling and corruption in the private sector. This act is enforced by various authorities, including AFA, and also public prosecutors are responsible for investigating the prosecuting corruptions. And the effectiveness of this law is considering as this act is considered an effective law in preventing and combating corruptions in France. It has increased the transparency, improved the whistleblower protection, and strengthened anti-corruption measures. However, some critics argue that stricter enforcement and harsher penalties are needed to make law more effective. And the second law is a law on the duty of vigilance 2017 of France, was passed on March 17, 2017. This law applies to large French companies with more than 5,000 employees in France or more than 10,000 employees globally. It covers the corporate duty of vigilance, requiring companies to identify and prevent severe impact on human rights, fundamental freedoms, and environment resulting from their own activities as well as those of their subsidiaries, subcontractors, and suppliers. This law content include the requirement for companies to establish an annual vigilance plan that outlines effective measures to identify the risk, prevent severe impact, or monitor the effectiveness of these measures. The plan must include a risk mapping, tailoring actions to mitigate risk, an alert mechanism, and a system to monitor the effectiveness of measure implemented. The law is enforced through a formal notice mechanism where the companies can be ordered to comply with their vigilance obligation. In case of non-compliance, the court can order the company to comply with its vigilance obligations. And the law is generally seen as effective in promoting corporate social responsibility and preventing human rights and environmental violation. However, the effectiveness should be questioned because all whistleblowers or people are asking more strong enforcement and harsher penalties required for more accuracy. This is sub-video 2B. The incident, whistleblowing incident happened in France. The LuxLeaks scandal in France involved the exposure of corporate tax schemes in Luxembourg, where multinational companies were able to channel hundreds of billions of dollars through the uh, dollars in the tax. The scandal was revealed through leaked documents shared by whistleblower Raphael Hallett and Antoine Deltor, who worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers (PwC) with investigative journalist Edward Perrin. The issues involved in the scandal were the secret tax deals offered by Luxembourg to multinational companies, which allowed them to drastically reduce their tax liabilities. The leaked document showed that PwC helped the multinational companies obtain more than 500 rulings in Luxembourg from 2002 to 2010, featuring complex structures designed to minimize tax payment. The whistleblowers, Hallett and Delta, were initially charged and convicted for their roles in the document leak. Hallett received a suspended sentence of 9 months and a fine, while Delto was acquitted. However, the European Court of Human Rights later ruled in favor of Hallett, recognizing him as a whistleblower rather than a criminal and ordering Luxembourg to pay him 55,000 euros in damages and legal costs. The unethical activity was eventually addressed and remediated to some extent. The LuxLeaks scandal led to widespread outrage and calls for reform, prompting European governments to promise to end the culture of secrecy that allowed companies to pay minimal taxes. The scandal also led to increased scrutiny of tax practices and greater transparency in corporate tax dealing. However, some critics argue that more needs to be done to address the root causes of the scandal and to ensure that the multinational companies pay their fair shares of taxes. This is sub-video 3B. I chose Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, as one of the leaders to profile because his unique blend of leadership characteristics, which have been shaped by his background in finance, politics, academics. Macron have a clear vision for France and Europe, which he has articulated through his uh, book Republic on the Move movement. He aims to modernize the French economy, strengthen the European Union, and promote a more integrated and a progressive Europe. His 2017 presidential campaign focused on reforming the French labor market and reducing unemployment. He is known for his strong moral compass and commitment to transparency. He has taken steps to increase transparency in government, such as introducing a new ethics law for politicians and creating an independent authority to monitor government ethics. In 2018, he introduced a law requiring politicians to declare their assets and income. Macron also has a set of good example by promoting diversity and inclusion in his government. He has appointed a diverse cabinet, including women and individuals from minority background, and has spoken out against discrimination and xenophobia. In 2017, he appointed a record number of women to his cabinet, including the first female minister of defense. He has set clear goals for his presidency, including reforming the French pension system, reducing carbon emissions, and promoting European integration. He has also established a roadmap for achieving these goals with specific timelines and milestones. He launched a comprehensive pension reform plan which aimed to create a more sustainable and equitable system in 2019. He is known for his ability to inspire and motivate others, particularly young people. He has launched initiatives to promote entrepreneurships, innovations, and civic engagement, and has encouraged citizens to take an active role in shaping France's future. He launched the French Tech Initiative, which aimed to support startups and promote innovations in the tech sector in 2018. He has taken steps to increase accountability in government, including introducing a new system for monitoring and evaluating government performance. He has also held his ministers accountable for their actions and has not hesitated to dismiss those who have failed to meet their responsibility. He dismissed his Minister of the Interior, Gerard Collomb, following a scandal involving police violence in 2018. Macron has shown a willingness to challenge authority and conventional wisdom, particularly in the areas of economic policy and European integration. He has proposed bold reforms such as European Union budget and common European defense policy, which has sparked a debate and controversy. He has provided ethical guidance to his followers by promoting a value based approach to politics and governance. He has emphasized the importance of transparency, accountability, and respect for human rights, and has encouraged citizens to engage in ethical and responsible behavior. He launched a national debate on ethics and politics, which aimed to promote a more values based approach to governance in 2018. And also, he has demonstrated an internal locus of control, taking responsibility for his actions and decisions, and acknowledging when he was made mistakes. He has also shown a willingness to adapt and learn from his experience and has encouraged others to do the same. He acknowledged that his government had made mistakes in handling the LOS protest and pledged to do better in future in 2019. Overall, Macron's leadership profile is characterized by his strong vision, integrity, commitment to transparency and accountability. While he has faced criticism for his many activities, he also demonstrated willingness to adapt and learn from his experiences and has encouraged others to do the same activities. My third country is Congo. This is subvideo 1C. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, whistleblowing laws are very less developed. The anti-corruption law of 2005 in Congo is actually the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, UNCAC, which was ratified by Congo in 2005. The UNCAC was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on October 31, 2003, and it entered into force on December 14, 2005 after 30 countries ratified it. The UNCAC is a comprehensive anti corruption convention that covers various sectors, including government, commercial, and healthcare. It aims to prevent the combat corruption, promote international cooperation, and provide an ethical assistance to countries to combat corruption. The UNCAC has 8 chapters and 71 articles, which oblige states parties to implement a wide range of anti corruption measures affecting their laws, institutions, and practices. These measures aim to promote the prevention, detention, and sanctioning of corruption, and as well as cooperation between state parties on these matters. The UNCAC provide for a comprehensive international cooperation framework, which include provisions on extradition, mutual legal assistance, and asset recovery. State parties are required to establish effective anti corruption bodies and to provide training and technical assistance to their officials. The UNCAC is generally seen as an effective instrument in combating corruptions globally. It has been ratified over 180, I think 190 countries, and it has led to the establishment of anti-corruption agencies and adoption of anti-corruption laws in many countries. However, its effectiveness depends upon the implementation and enforcement of its provisions by state parties. The second law is the law on the protection of human rights defenders was adopted on June 15, 2023. This law covers the protection and the responsibility of human rights defenders in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. It sets out state obligations such as physical protection of defenders and their families. The law also grants specific protection to women human rights defenders. The content of law defines the right and duties of human rights defenders, the responsibilities and the remedies, sanctions and reparations available in the event of violations of their right. However, the law also requires human rights defenders who are not affiliated with an organization to register with National Human Rights Commission, which may limit the protection of occasional human rights defenders. The law is enforced through the National Human Rights Commission, which is responsible for registering human rights defenders and ensuring the protection. The effectiveness of this law is still to be seen as it is being recently adopted. While it is an important step forward for the country, concern remains about the registration requirement and the lack of establishment of protection mechanism to strengthen the implementation of the law. This is Subvideo 2C, an incident, whistleblowing incident happened in Congo. Jean-Jacques Lumumba, a Congolese banker, exposed corruption at the BGFI Bank in 2016. The issues involved a suspicious transaction of dozens of millions of dollars between President Kabila's family controlled bank and organizations with close ties to the president. Lumumba, who served as the head of the credit department at Congolese BGFI Bank, noticed these shady activities and alerted his superiors. However, he was threatened with a gun to stake fired by director of the bank, Joseph Kabila's adopted brother. Lumumba courageously exposed this major corruption scam after leaving his own country. After seeing wrongdoings while serving as an executive of BGFI Bank's Congolese Associated, he was driven into exile in 2016. The extensive collection of records he made public, referred to as the Lumbumba Papers, revealed a system of systematic corruption, misuse of public finance, illegal funding, and fraud. Lumumba was treated poorly, forced into exile, and threatened. His family was also affected, and they had to flee the country to escape persecution. Despite the risk, Lumumba remains committed to exposing the corruption and hope to help rid of Congo of corruption. Investigations by PPLAAF platform to protect whistleblowers in Africa and Le Monde and OCCRP turned out evidence of the unethical activity, including the misappropriation of public funds and the involvement of Kabila's family members. It's unclear, nevertheless, if the unethical behavior was completely addressed or remedied. More work need to be done to fight corruption and safeguard whistleblowers, as seen by Lumumba's immigration and the Democratic Republic of Congo's ongoing lack of accountability and openness. This is sub-video 3C. I choose Felix Tshisekedi, the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, is a significant figure in Congolese politics, having taken over the presidency in 2019 after a disputed election. Despite the challenges he faced, including allegations of electoral electoral fraud and opposition from his predecessor Joseph Kabila, Sisskidi has demonstrated a commitment to reform and development in DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. He has expressed a clear vision for the DRC, focusing on economic development, infrastructure improvement, and reconciliation. He has emphasized the need for national unity and has taken steps to address the country's humanitarian crisis. He has been praised for his commitment to fighting corruption, which has been a pervasive problem in DRC. He has launched investigations into corruption case and has taken steps to increase transparency in government dealings. As a leader, he has set a good example by being accessible to his people and engaging in dialogue with opposition leaders. He has also demonstrated a willingness to listen to criticism and adapt to changing the circumstances. He has outlined clear goals for his presidency, including improving the business environment, increasing access to education and healthcare, and promoting national reconciliation. He has encouraged others to work towards national development, including through a creation of a national dialogue platform that bring together stakeholders from various sectors. He has taken steps to hold government officials accountable for their actions, including the dismissal of corrupt officials and the launch of investigation into human rights abuses. He has demonstrated a willingness to challenge authority, including by taking on the powerful Kabalia regime and pushing for reforms in the face of opposition. He has emphasized the importance of ethical leadership and has encouraged his followers to prioritize transparency and accountability. Um, he appears to have an internal locus of control, taking responsibility for his action and decision rather than blaming external circumstances. He has shown a willingness to take risk, but he has also displayed a practical approach to politics, frequently attempting to form a coalition and discover points of agreement with his opponents. As an example, in 2020, he launched a national dialogue platform which brought together stakeholders from various sectors to discuss the country's development challenges and opportunities. In 2019, he dismissed several high ranking officials accused of corruption, demonstrating his commitment to fighting the graft. So, through this example, it is clear that he is a very powerful and powerful leader, and he has a clear vision about his country, and he is trying very hard to um, um, establish that rules and regulations in the country. This is video 4. Whistleblowing and leadership are two distinct concepts that share some common things, but they are not identical. Whistleblowing is not always a leadership activity, even though it can be in some situations. Whistleblowing can be a leadership activity when challenging the status of a particular institute. That means whistleblowers often challenge the existing power structures, policies, or practices that are harmful or unethical. This requires courage, conviction, and a willingness to take stand, which are essential leadership qualities. And also, whistleblowers often seek to bring about positive change by exposing wrongdoing or unethical behavior. This Advocacy can be seen as a form of leadership as it involves inspiring and influencing others to work towards a common goal. Uh, and for whistleblowers often faces significant personal and professional risk when speaking out against wrongdoing. This moral courage is a key characteristic of effective leaders who must be willing to make tough decisions and take unpopular stands. Empowering others also can be taken as a characteristic. That means whistleblowers can empower others to speak out against wrongdoing, creating a ripple effect that can lead to broader changes. This empowerment is a key aspect of leadership as it involves enabling others to take actions and make a difference. Whistleblowing and leadership are not identical, but they have some differences. That is, whistleblowers are often motivated by a desire to expose wrongdoing or unethical behavior, whereas leaders are motivated by a desire to achieve a specific goal or vision. Whistleblowing typically involves a specific issue or incident, whereas leadership involves a broader scope of responsibility encompassing multiple areas and the stakeholders. And thirdly, whistleblowers often lack formal authority, but leaders typically have some level of formal authority or influence. Fourthly, whistleblowing focuses on exposing wrongdoing, but leadership focuses on achieving a specific outcome. Uh, also, whistleblowers often face significant personal and professional risk, whereas leaders may face a risk, but they are often more calculated and managed. And also, whistleblowing can be a solo activity, maybe a solo activity, most probably, whereas leadership often involves collaboration and teamwork. Uh, in addition to that, whistleblowing may have a short term impact, but leadership can have a long term impact on the organization or the society. There are some similarities between whistleblowing and leadership. Um Leadership. First one is both whistleblowers and leadership require courage to take stand and challenges to face the problem. And also, both of them must convinced of the rightliness of their cause and be willing to advocate for it. And thirdly, both of them seek to influence others and bring out the changes. Both whistleblowers and leaders are accountable for their actions and must be willing to accept the consequences of their decisions also. And also, they both are guided by ethical principles such as fairness, justice, and transparency. Being a leader means that whistleblowing entails standing up for moral principles and responsibility, often at significant personal cost. Integrity, oversight, and the courage to go against authority are qualities that are necessary for both leadership and whistleblowing, since they understand that whistleblowing is a tool for ethical governance and organizational progress. Effective leaders foster conditions where it is valued and protected. Whistleblowing and leadership have a vital role in establishing accountability and transparency, which in turn strengthens institutions and increases the public trust. In conclusion, we can say that although whistleblowing may be considered a leadership activity in specific situations, it is not fundamentally a leadership activity. While there are many similarities between leadership and whistleblowing, such as bravery, conviction, and influences, there are also important differences between two in terms of teamwork, authority, focus, motivation, risk tolerance, and long term effects. Thank you.